Before we start, I'm not going to talk about the game itself that we're going to be talking about today. I made a whole separate video. That was my last video on this channel. I recommend you go watch that if you want my opinions on the game. I will give my general opinion near the end so you kind of know the vibe, because that'll be important when whether or not I recommend this album or not. Let's talk about the soundtrack for Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Now, a little rundown. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League was a game released last year as a live service game made by the same studio that made the Batman Arkham games. And this is actually a game that takes place in the DC Arkhamverse. So basically the same universe as those games. It's supposed to take place 5 years after Batman Arkham Knight. So the composers, fittingly, are Rupert and Nick Arundel. So Nick Arundel actually worked on the soundtracks for previous Arkham games. I don't believe he worked on the soundtrack for Arkham Origins. I think that's the only one he didn't work on. But Arkham Asylum, City, and Night, he did in fact work on the music for that as well. So honestly, it was only fitting to bring him back for this game. That also takes place in the Arkhamverse. But yeah, before we get into the real juice of the music and what it's like, let's talk about the discs. So the first disc is a red and blue color. So it's like half red, half blue. And then disc 2 is kind of a yellow and gray. Now, I do get kind of confused about the coloring for this. I kind of think they're supposed to represent a member of the base squad that you start out with, which is Deadshot, King Shark, Harley Quinn, and Captain Boomerang, but I'm not entirely sure. So take it as you will. They're cool looking colored discs, and yeah, that's kind of all that matters, I guess, with that. Anyways, with those out of the way, let's talk about the packaging. So starting with the front, we've got the main cover of the game right there. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League in there. Then you got original video game soundtrack, music by Rupert and Nick Arundel, just in kind of normal font up there. And then we got Harley Quinn, Deadshot, Captain Boomerang, and King Shark. I really like the designs of all the characters in this, by the way. I thought they did a really good job. I love the logo's design as well. And it's like kind of like you're laying on the ground, they're just looking down at you, pretty much is what they were going for here. Then on the bottom here, you got DC, WB, Rocksteady. And yeah, I really do like the layout of this, and I think it's really cool looking. Open this up. You kind of like the names of all the casts. You got the logo again right there. Then you got Harley Quinn shooting with her gun, and then also using Batman's zip line thing. And then you got Captain Boomerang using the Speed Force, you can kind of see with the little lightning kind of things. Deadshot with the jetpack that he stole and the sniper rifle. And then you got my boy King Shark with the dual machetes, just kind of launching himself forward. I think they did a really good job with this too. And I remember this was actually, when the game was coming out, I remember this was kind of like what my wallpaper on my desktop was. That's how much I really had faith in this game. I really had faith in this game being good. But, yeah, like I said, that's for another video. But, yeah, I do like the design choices. I like the layout here, and I think that's really cool. Then on the back, we got the most notable member, I guess you could say, because of the Arkhamverse and stuff. The only character that was actually really established, which was Harley Quinn, because it was a fake Deadshot, I guess, in the Arkham Batman games, but whatever. We got disc 1, side A, side B, and then it's all the tracks. Then disc 2, which is more the songs you hear in the story, listed right here. And then once again, just more logos down here. Then peeking in here, we got this right here. There's my boy King Shark in more glory. Kill the Justice League back there. There's just a bunch of credits right there. Flipping around, and it's that. So literally, I didn't really take a lot of big looks inside of this, but it seems like my two mains, which was Harley Quinn and King Shark, got the most love of all four of them. Pretty simple package. It pretty much just tells you what you need to know. They didn't do anything super special, so yeah. I do feel like they could have done a little bit more, but it's pretty much what you would need, I guess. Pretty much the bare minimum. Overall cool packaging. Like you put this on the wall, it'll look pretty cool. But anyways, with that being said, let's get on with the rest of the video. So really the main question that you have to ask yourself when thinking about, okay, a Suicide Squad game in the Arkhamverse. How do we differentiate this from Batman? Well, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it just straight up has a motif. Whenever Arkham Asylum or Arkham Batman is mentioned, there's a da 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 that you know from the Arkham games. But there are lots of other times. It's not all the game. It's just pretty much any time like Batman shows up on screen or something, which makes sense, but it doesn't make sense in a way because the other Justice League members are in it and they don't get a special theme, but okay. But yeah, it seems like Nick Arundel was more in charge of music related to like the story and like orchestral parts, and then Rupert Cross was more in charge of the music that you do when you're doing missions and attacking enemies and stuff like that. Because Rupert Cross is there to give it the extra Suicide Squad kind of twisty flair of things. That's more like guitars, basses, and to an extent EDM sort of vibes when it comes to that side of things. And yet then you get the Arkham vibes from the more orchestral side of things because of mainly Nick Arundel. Sometimes they kind of intertwine, but for the majority of it, Rupert Cross does the battle themes and Nick Arundel does the story music. And they decided to split up in this so that the battle themes and mission songs and stuff, that's all on disc 1, and disc 2 is all the story music and all that. And I really like that they did that, because sometimes if you want to listen to it, maybe you're in the mood for just some cool like rock EDM mixing, stuff like that, you can pop in disc 1. If you're looking for more orchestral stuff and you just want to listen to like story related music, then that's where you can spin disc 2. And I think that was really cool that they did that. So that's a props to it for sure. Definitely the music of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is for sure the best part of the game. It's the one thing I didn't talk about in my last video was the music for the intent of making this video. I had to make my last video because the last time I tried recording this, I just ranted about the game for way too long. So really, I recommend, if you want my full thoughts on the game, to go check out that video. So do I recommend this record? Now, it's gonna be to a niche audience. If you're a fan of Nick Arundel's past music, like with the Arkham games, then yeah, if you're really into his stuff, then yeah, I definitely do. If you're a Suicide Squad fan, then maybe. If you're a fan of the Finite Crisis base game, because this only covers Finite Crisis, by the way. It doesn't do seasons 1, 2, 3, or 4, which also had really good music, as bad as those stories were. Then yeah, if you liked Finite Crisis, then for sure give this one a spin. If you do not fit those categories, then really you don't need this, if I'm being honest. It's not the greatest thing in the world, but it is really good video game music. So if you're just into getting video game music, you might like this. If you really don't care about Suicide Squad, or this game at least in particular, you don't need this. This can be a skip. But it's really cool. If you are a Suicide Squad fan, definitely cop this. As much as I have my dislike with the game after the story completed, I will say this is something that probably ain't going to go away. I really do dig the music. And Finite Crisis was actually a decent story, so I'm kind of glad that it's only Finite Crisis. It's just a reminder of the good parts of the game, in my opinion. And if people didn't watch my last video and they're watching this and asking me if the game's worth it, no, they're still selling it at a full price, even though the game is pretty much a flop. So I'm going to ask kind of the same questions I asked in my last video. What are your thoughts on the Suicide Squad as an IP? What do you think of the music for the game if you've played it? What's your favorite Arkham game soundtrack? I'm sure a lot of people are going to say Arkham City because, gosh, the Arkham City theme hits so different. It's so good. Reminder that I have a Spotify playlist of my favorite songs from each record review. For this game, I'm going to be having Flash Mobbed, which is essentially the boss music for when you fight the Flash. It's so good. It's definitely my most favorite song from the game. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell when you do. And yeah, so long and good night.